I'd like to bring in for this discussion Texas Congressman Michael McCaul. Congressman, this whole thing is sort of taking on a life of its own after Mitch McConnell suggested maybe banks should, or states rather, should have the ability to file for bankruptcy. Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, went off yesterday. He went off again today at a press conference. But we need to be honest about, the level of debt these states have, the pension obligations they have, and there should be a firewall between that and federal taxpayer money going to pay it, shouldn't there?
Yeah, I agree with that concept. I think the next tranche will probably include more state and local funding. But to your point, Charles, it should be condition-based. I don't think it should be used to bail out states to backfill their debt from previous errors and mistakes. You know, my home state of Texas has been very fiscally responsible. And so I think the idea of strings attached, like any federal spending, makes sense in this case.
What do you like about this second tranche, this latest tranche, if you will? What do you think was left out? I believe there's still not enough money for small businesses.
Well, that's the best part about the bill. I think the small business relief package was very successful. 1.7 million loans, $350 billion that got depleted really within 2 weeks and then delayed by Pelosi for a week where people were hurting out there. Now we replenished it, but Charles, you're absolutely correct. This thing's going to be depleted in a matter of weeks, and then Congress will have to return to replenish that. That is keeping small business afloat and alive to get through this crisis. The other thing I liked was the children's hospitals were left out of the previous bill. They're now in there. An additional, also $25 billion for testing. We're not going to be able to fully go back to work as everybody wants to, and I'm back at work here in Washington, really until we get everybody tested. So the $25 billion in testing is critical to get us to that phase where we can all go back to work.
President Trump also focusing with federal help potentially to help the oil industry. He suggests it could be on its way. Let's take a listen.
That industry got unnecessarily hurt. We're filling up the reserve. That's 75 million barrels. We will make the energy business great again.
Congressman, it feels like there's going to be a standoff with Democrats on this. In fact, there's a faction of people out there that like the idea of the American oil industry going bust.
Well, not my state. It's a backbone of our economy in Texas. It's a backbone of our economy in the United States. We became the largest exporter of energy in the world. And I don't want to lose that standing. But if we don't do something, particularly the small oil and gas producers who are really taking a hard hit, not only COVID-19, Charles, but this war between Russia and Saudi flooding the market, dumping energy, oil and gas into the market has dropped the price so much that the demand, the supply is there, but not the demand. And it's a supply and demand issue. I know that Secretary Mnuchin announced just recently that he's going to look at the idea of Federal Reserve loans to the industry to keep them afloat, just like small businesses, through this time of crisis. I would urge the administration, while we all like low gas prices, we also have to recognize the energy sector is a backbone of our economy, and we can't let it bust here in the United States, certainly not in my state.
Yeah, I would find it. I find it. I just can't believe that they would allow it to happen, and I'm really shocked there hasn't been some form of intervention already. Congressman, thank you very much. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, Charles. Thanks for having me.
Well, folks.